Alrighty, hello and welcome to the channel and the third attempt to record this part. Yay for audio issues. And speaking of which, on the next scrap mechanic video, expect to hear those audio issues because I didn't catch it until today. Always pre-check your stuff. Now, today I want to kind of get into a channel update and what's been going on, why the videos haven't been coming out as regularly lately, as well as some changes that have been made. But before I do that, some clips of mule deer. Now, I will like to apologize in advance. These clips were all recorded during testing, which means that there are going to be varying levels of visual clarity, frame rate, there might be frame stutter, there might be numbers on screen. I apologize. I just sometimes while testing I get distracted by something to hunt, and I don't bother going through the extra steps to turn everything off, just even though, you know, in this case, I didn't know what my final settings were going to be. Hey, hang on. Okay. I don't think that was a cow. So in the first clip, during one of the paths, I do the same path over and over again. I spotted me a bighorn across the lake. Went ahead and took a shot on that. He ran up over the hill, didn't drop instantly, but that wasn't the important part. On my way to go get said bighorn, I spotted me something with some pretty antlers across the way and turned out to be a 5 medium mule deer. There you are. A tentative. Yeah, he probably notices me here. So I put the sneak on, snuck around, and lo and behold, the thing left me with a perfect broadside shot, dropped it on the spot, and of course, because of the bug with the new mule deer, big gold. But still, I thought it would be worth sticking in the lodge. Fast forward a little bit later, and I'm doing a path where I walk up to a lake, turn around, run back, and I'm doing that 30, 40 freaking times an hour. And during one of the trips, I spot between two trees another level 5. So I decide to get nice and close to where I can take my 164-yard shot. By the time I get in position, it's facing me head on. Now, I have no problem saying that 30-06 is going to reach through and touch a lung head on, so I take the shot. I get the little dust cloud, I get the animation that it's been hit, yada yada yada. I get up to where the shot should have landed, no blood. I even kicked on tracks, no blood. No sign that that animal was hit at all. So, leave it alone, get back to doing my test. Again and again and again, I'm walking up that hill, and eventually, there it is again. And this time, I actually don't remember where I placed the shot. You're seeing it now. I forgot. This was like 2 days ago. But the point is, it's down. It's in the lodge now. And, oh, hey, what do we got over here? Oh, we got us. Oh, there's a bighorn. There's a bighorn. No one ever traveled with their boyfriends for any particular reason? It'd be nice. I'd appreciate it. Anyways, fast forward, and during another test, I found a bighorn across the lake in the same spot. Took it. Went to claim it, decided to go down the road on the backside, and I spotted off in the distance a nice little 4 mule deer. I think that one ended up being like a 300 or 200, it was either a 200 or 300 yard double lung heart shot, and I was quite happy with that. But on my way to claim the body, I saw full curls run by. Now it was just a 3, so I wasn't worried about trying to save the trophy score, but full curls always looks good in the lodge, and that's what I wanted. So I took some poor shots, eventually getting it down, and on my way to go collect that body, I see something ghostly walking off over the crest line. Turns out to be a dilute mule deer. Now, I've gotten dilutes before, but I didn't have one with the new rack system, so again, some horrible shooting, and I got that dilute mule deer as well. Now, in a minute, we'll go and take a look at him in the lodge, but first, why? What's changed? What's going on? Why videos are taking so long? Well, you may have already noticed that the image probably looks a little bit different. If you haven't noticed, then your device probably isn't capable of full range or full range color, and it makes no difference to you. But the long and the short of it is, the little one in the house, it's time to go to school, and school requires pretty much a computer these days. Especially these days. Now, he already has a computer. He makes regular appearances in Scrap Mechanic Survival Series, but his computer is the one I started this channel on. It's an FX8350 MSI 970 board with an EVGA GTX 980. It's not a slouch of a machine, but I built it originally, I think with a different GPU, 7 years ago. And for 5 of those years, it went with full overclocks. I mean, everything overclocked. Needless to say, system stability has been a bit of a problem lately, and he's gonna need something a little bit more reliable. Now, I feel like a bit of a selfish prick when I sit here with a Ryzen 5 3600 and a 1080 Ti that serves no purpose other than recording. So, my dual system's getting stripped down to 1, the recording rig is gonna get repackaged in its own case, bada bing bada boom, problem solved. Meanwhile, I still got to figure out how to get these 4K videos done. Well, luckily with the improvements with the Turing encoder on the 2080 Ti and the collaboration between NVIDIA and OBS and the ability to finally get proper DirectX prioritization with Windows Game Mode and running OBS as admin and yada yada yada, it's actually not that difficult. I'm using the exact same encoder settings that I was with my dual system. H.265, 150 megabit per second. There are a couple pros and cons though. Pro, full range color. You didn't get full range color before. The Elgato 4K 60 Pro Mark II, although advertised to be capable of HDR, refused to detect a full range signal at 4K 60. 4K 30, not a problem. 1440 60, not a problem. 4K 60, problem. Now that being said, it passed it through just fine. The display would pick it up, but it wouldn't. So colors were limited and would appear a bit washed out. This, I think, looks a lot better. Now the Elgato had one other problem, and that is that its frame timing, or its response really, for vertical and horizontal refreshes aren't exactly the same as my display. What that means is when high detailed environments like this, and there's a lot of movement, like moving my camera around, it would shudder. It was really noticeable, especially in the videos whenever I'd walk up and like go to look down at an animal, and what should have taken like 30-40 frames to do, it would do in like 3 frames. It was just slideshow looking down at the animal. Now I still have a wee bit of an issue, and this is actually what I've spent the last 7 days working on. This is the best I've come up with. Wait, but I got, there's a 3 very easy 292, and that is because 60 hertz doesn't always mean 60 hertz, thanks to manufacturer discrepancies or margin of errors or tolerances, whatever you want to call it. And he's not a big one, not worth poking with a stick. So I'm running a cheap Asus 4K 60 panel. When I mean cheap, I have an Acer one that I bought when I very first started playing with 4K back in 2015, 2014. And it costs twice as much, but of course it's correctly advertised as being color accurate, more for photos than video or gaming. This one's supposed to be more for gaming, but it has the same problem. Feed it with enough data and it will start to throttle. So basically, if I start moving around a whole lot, it doesn't maintain 60 hertz, and because VSync basically sets your frame buffer to output frames according to what your monitor can handle, and OBS doesn't care, OBS is 60 hertz is 60 hertz is 60 hertz, you get frame stutter. It's a bit of a micro stutter. It's not that bad, but it bugs me. It bugs me greatly. But unfortunately, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it without buying hardware, because basically I need a panel that can maintain 60 hertz better. So either a higher quality 60 hertz panel or a 120 hertz panel that I can then run down to 60. Either way, not happening. If I had the money for a monitor like that, I probably wouldn't have had to sacrifice the recording computer in the first place. So, the video you see before you, better quality. I'm curious to know how many people even notice the micro stuttering. Now that I've pointed it out, probably everyone, if you're watching on a capable device. But it is still a 4K video in a foresty area, recorded on a single system, with no hoity-toity hardware, just a 9900K and a 2080 Ti. Makes my life easier. I don't have to move, multi-100 gig files from one machine to another. I don't have to deal with trying to maintain driver updates and everything on 2 separate machines. And it definitely works out better. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to work in the future to try and push back. I want to keep improving the quality. I want to bring HDR to the channel, but that's many thousands of dollars away. That's not happening anytime soon. But to start with, let's go to the lodge. Go look at these muleys. Now, I forewarn you, there is a reason I never hunt Virunga Savanna. The frame stutter. I'm assuming it's a lighting issue. There's never really been much I can do about it. I mean, I could sit there and change my settings every single time I went to Virunga Savanna or the lodge, but basically an overclocked water-cooled 2080 Ti isn't enough. And even though I was sitting there being able to push pretty much any other reserve I want in the high 80s, low 90% utilization rate, along with 3 to 5% of that being the OBS recording, here I'm pegged and only getting 55 FPS. I don't get why, especially here. It's like, just put some trees around the outside and get rid of the rest of the map. I'm wondering what they do differently with the lighting. There's got to be something different. Anyways, that's not the point. Where am I? Ah, right. Excuse me. Okay, so there's the bighorn. The full curl one, ear clipping through the horn, wonderful. And then I think this was the second muley. Nice rack, pretty big. I think, what was he? He was a 242, so nothing super massive, but He was a 5 medium, so I didn't know any better, but that's not the one I really like. This thing, look at that. That looks amazing. I got the tines off on the side. I don't know what any of this is called. Like, if you haven't figured it out by now, all I know about hunting is from this game. I'm a mechanic who hobbies in computers. It's, unless this buck was diesel powered, I don't have a clue. 286.5 though, I think that was pretty big, but that's just, oh, that's amazing looking. Now, if I remember correctly, this is the second dilute mule deer, right? Yeah, second dilute mule deer I got on Silver Ridge Peaks. And of course, he's got the legacy rack. And this is the little one, which was the first dilute mule deer that I ever got on Silver Ridge Peaks, which actually was one I spotted, followed, couldn't find again, but then I ended up spotting him. I think it was actually again during testing, and so I nabbed him and brought him in here. But then over here we have the true mule dilute, and one of the things I like about his setup here is if you look, it's like really straight up. Like the forward tines with the first ones, they kind of poke out wide, but then the uprights, I don't know. Do they count them? G2, G3s? I hear the terminology. I know I've asked and been explained how it works before. I just forgot, honestly. But I like how that looks too. Now, even though I got some pretty massive mule deer already, I'm still intending to continue finding more, but I think next time I want to change it up a bit, so here in Parque Fernando is where I'm going to be looking next. But in the meantime, comment down below. Do you notice the micro stuttering? Does it bother you? Is the coloring better? I can only reference across 2 different kinds of displays, and this kind of content pushes those displays to their limits already. So usually the people who are gonna see this as looking good or worse, they're probably gonna be on like TVs. I hope to keep improving the quality. I hope to also be able to start bringing other games to the channel. I just tend to fall back on Call of the Wild because the engine is the hardest to run at 4K of the games I play. It's also one of the best looking. And then on top of that, it's one of the few games that have a truly good looking engine and then a gameplay mechanic that actually allows the user to observe it. So it just really works for doing videos like this where I'm trying to get the high quality through. But that's what's going on. Hopefully things will start working out better. I guess you never know. Everyone's been affected in different ways. So, that being said, there's buttons if you liked it, buttons if you didn't, and as always, buttons to push. Until next time.